Hello to the Kansas City listeners and to the KUAW audience. We're back here again with Professor Smooth Jazz of Smooth Jazz on KUAW. You can catch me every Thursday. That's tomorrow, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. and again at 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. and Friday early morning, 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. But today we're doing an interview with a special guest, Paula Atherton, New York-based sax player, vocalist, and songwriter. Hello,
Hello.
Paula. How are
Hey,
you doing today? And thank you again for taking the time to do this interview. Let me do this
Oh, my
interview on
pleasure.
KUAW.
My pleasure. This is great being able to talk to you. This is the first time we've done an interview, right?
Oh, yes. Well, we've been knowing it. We've been emailing and I've
Yeah.
been spinning your music for quite some time.
And
So I
thank you
know
for that.
this, and I know about your smooth jazz experience, but I was looking on your webpage and it says you also have a traditional jazz uh, field experience.
Yes.
And you had one notable performance 1 week at the Blue Note in New York City with pianist jazz legend Hank, is that Jones?
Jones. Hank
Oh,
Jones.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you want to tell us about some of your
Yeah,
traditional jazz experience? Okay.
absolutely. I guess I'll speak about Hank Jones first because you brought that up. For people that don't know Hank Jones, he played with everybody, Charlie Parker, Billie Holiday. You know, if you look him up, it's quite amazing. And he was an incredible musician. Um, and it kind of happened at the last minute when I got the call. It was this mini big band playing at the Blue Note in New York City, and it was a tribute to Frank Sinatra. And the other people that were on the gig, couple of them, you know, they've all since passed. They were like in their 80s at the time.
Mm-hmm.
The trumpet player, Joe Wilder, and the trombone player, Eddie Burt, they had all played with Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker. And every night that I did this gig, they would tell me stories about back then, what happened in the clubs and 52nd Street and all this stuff that like you would never know about. You know, you can't read this stuff in a book because nobody really wrote it down. So it was, from that aspect, it was fascinating. And I also got to play with, a few years back, Dee Dee Bridgewater, who's a great Grammy-winning jazz singer in the Palm Springs Women's Jazz Festival. So that was a really good experience. And I had studied traditional jazz first before I started to do the more contemporary or smooth stuff that I'm doing now. And I still do gigs in New York where I play straight ahead or traditional jazz. I was doing gigs like that, playing traditional jazz, singing standards from the American Songbook and whatnot. And I started to write. And my writing had all kinds of aspects of music that I like. Old school R&B, pop, Latin, you know, all different types of things like that. So where it would fit would be the smooth jazz genre. You know, it really didn't fit with traditional jazz anymore. But I wanted to do that because I wanted to make something that was uniquely mine. You know, so many people have done all the great standards and they all put their own take on it. And I still like doing that, but I wanted to make something that I wrote, that was mine, that had my identity to it. And that's how I started to get in this field.
You mentioned Charlie Parker on 18th and Vine in Kansas City. Now, you know, that's
Yeah.
a namesake. Man, there's some people that love to talk to you about some of the DD and who was the other DD and the pianist?
Hank Jones. Hank
Hank
Jones.
Yeah, Hank Jones. And yeah, so oh man, you get the conversation going right there. If you come down to 18th and Vine and start talking.
I bet.
Okay.
Fascinating.
So, yeah, and so when did you get interested in music?
I was born interested in music.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I think that's the whole thing about being a musician. Like people say, when did you decide to be a musician? You don't pick it, it picks you.
Okay.
You don't have a choice. It's
Okay.
just like in your heart. And it's like
Mhm.
you're just driven to it. You hear things, you know, as you're growing up, you hear music that you like, and it makes you happy. It speaks to you, and you want to learn more and more about it.
Mm.
And I mean, that was my experience anyway. And then I just kind of like found a way to make my own music so I could have my own identity with it.
Mhm.
But you know, I love all different kinds of music, and I've always loved it. Being a musician is not a particularly easy life. It's not, you know,
Mhm.
the easiest road to take. So
Mhm.
you have to love it. You have to love it because to stick with it, it has to be in your heart. If you're like so wishy-washy about it, you're gonna bail and you're gonna like do something else.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think we kind of got a history of that because of Charlie Parker, you know, some of those jazz musicians, because they were African American. Oh man, going on the road, and sleeping on the bus, you know, some things
Oh,
you
the
hear
things
about
that they should
kind
never
of,
have had to do.
yeah, yeah.
When I found out about the Green Book,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I didn't know. I hadn't heard
Mhm.
about what that
Mhm.
was until I saw the movie about it. Um, but you know what? Even with all the prejudice and everything that was going
Mhm.
on the whole time,
Mhm.
musicians always found a way to work
Yeah,
together.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Always.
yeah.
I saw this great picture of Ella Fitzgerald and Marilyn Monroe
Mhm.
sitting together.
Mhm.
And this was before Ella became like really big and was working everywhere.
Mhm.
And she wanted to work at this one particular club, but the club owner didn't want to hire her because she was African American, right?
Mhm.
So Marilyn Monroe, I don't know if you know this story or not, but Marilyn
Mhm.
Monroe called the club owner and she said, listen, if you book Ella in there for the week, I'm going to come down every night and sit at the front table. Do we have a deal? The club owner said yes. And after that, Ella said she never played a small club again.
Mhm. Yeah, and even without the prejudice, just you know, get the the traveling, and I mean, you guys have to practice, and oh man, I mean, just doing a radio show for me is that takes a lot of time, and you know, I tried to come up with different ideas because there's so many different radio shows, you know, so I wanted to be my own self, you know, and some people said, let me hear your radio voice. And I said, well, you know, when I first started, yeah, I was nervous, but I said, I just wanted to sound like myself. I didn't want to listen to other people and try to sound like someone else, you know.
Right. So we're talking the same language here, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
That's how you really get to be, you find your own fingerprint, you find your own path. And
Mhm.
that's not an easy thing to do for
Mhm.
anybody in any field, you know.
Mhm.
But it's kind of like the most important thing for a musician to do, to find their own path, find their own fingerprint.
Mhm.
Um, you know, you might copy or learn from a lot of
Yeah. Oh,
musicians,
yeah.
like take a Charlie Parker line,
Mhm.
play it in every key, take it apart. What notes is he playing against this chord? What does it mean?
Mhm.
That's what you do when you're studying, and it informs you and starts to give you tools for your toolbox. But then you take those tools and you apply them and you find your own voice in your own way. And that's how you can become a recording artist and have something special that's yours.
Yeah, and I noticed that I've been spinning for a while, and I always try to find different artists, independent. It doesn't make any difference if I like their music, you know. And so I noticed that even though they're playing different instruments, sometimes I can listen. Like this one guy, he had some music and he was playing it, and I said, "That's such and such." And I said, "Oh yeah, on the guitar now that either got to be this or that." And he said, "Man, how do you know that?" I said, "Well, after listening so long, you kind of get a, you know, your ear kind of picks up certain things. They're different, and they pick up certain things, different tones. Even though I can't read music and play music, I can pick it. You know, you can pick it out. You know."
Yeah, you don't have to be able to read music to
Yeah.
like what you're talking about is developing your own sound.
Mhm. Oh,
I
okay.
want
That's what it.
people, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
you're
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain musicians, of course, we talked about Charlie Parker, or,
Uh-huh.
I could
Yeah.
hear like a few notes and know it's him,
Mhm.
or, there's so many musicians in that category. You hear the sound. Oh, that's Cannonball Adderley. That's Bill
Mhm.
Evans. That's
Yeah.
Dave Koz. That's who,
Mhm. Oh,
because
yeah.
they develop their own sound. You don't
Yeah.
have to wait to find out who it is. You
Yeah.
you already know.
Yeah. So, so did you pick up the sax? Was that your first choice?
Well, my first choice was piano,
Mhm.
but my parents really didn't have a lot of money, and there were no musicians in the family, so they didn't really know where that was coming from.
Mhm.
So I didn't get a piano, but in elementary school I did sing. I was in the chorus and in special competitions and everything. And then so voice was really my first instrument. And then I got a flute when I was in fourth grade. Also not what I picked. I think I wanted to play drums, and they were like, drums, little girls playing drums. I don't, why don't you take a flute? And I was like, okay. I mean, I probably would have played anything they handed me because I just wanted to learn how to play music so badly that like any instrument would do. So I played flute for a while, and then in my teens I was studying jazz, listening to, like we spoke about before, Ella Fitzgerald and the way she improvised on melodies, scat sang and all that. She's just the best at that. And groups like Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross that would take Count Basie charts and sing all the horn parts. And the flute players like Hubert Laws and James Moody. And then, I wanted to express more sound and more different sounds and colors, and then I could do with the flute. So I went to saxophone then, because saxophone is in the same family. It's in the woodwind family, and a
Yeah.
lot of the fingerings are the same. You just have to get past the different embouchure using a reed and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, then I started to add saxophone to my
Yeah. And that
playing.
pianist I was talking about with his band was Count Basie here. You talk about Count Basie here, boy. That's
Yeah, another amazing musician.
mhm. So, so, and then so, uh, let's talk about your new music, man. You have a hot new selection. Uh, Can you feel it? But you know what? I think on that CD you had a couple, or at least three selections that have really been hot, isn't it? I think I've been playing.
On this particular CD, you mean?
Yeah, was it? Is this the first? This is not the first one, is it? Can you feel it?
It's number 6.
Okay, okay, okay. Because you have 6 CDs. Because I was looking and I was saying, oh yeah, I got all of them. I know that the first one, I think it was kind of hard to pick up because I didn't know if it was out of print or something. But I think
It's
I
been
ended up,
reissued.
yeah, I ended up finding it.
I repackaged it because it was my very first one.
Mhm.
I didn't know what I was doing, and it just recorded songs and put them together. The first time you do anything, I think it's a learning curve. And it was in a jewel case,
Mhm.
which you can't travel with because they just
Oh,
break.
oh
And
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
you get to the show and you got a bunch of broken
Oh
cases.
yeah, yeah,
People don't want to be buying them. So
yeah.
yeah, I repackaged it. It's in a what do you call it? Wallet.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's available
Now
now.
I think the one I have is in a jewel because I think I got.
Oh, see, you got the first
I
one.
think, yeah, yeah, I think that's in a jewel. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it was. I had to look. I had to kind of wait a little while, but I ended up picking it up. Okay, so let's talk about your new single. What you've been on a couple of weeks on Billboard and Mediabase, Smooth Jazz Network.
Yeah. I think we're tied for number 1 new and active this week. We were
Mhm.
number 1 new and active last week, which is kind of like 31. It's like the first spot outside the top 30 on Billboard. And it's in the 30s on Mediabase. And also on the Smooth Jazz Network chart. I think it's 35. So it's starting to get revved up.
It was kind of funny that you had mentioned when you were in grade school, when you were picking an instrument, a little girl on drums. Now here, take this flute. But things are changing.
Oh yeah,
Awfully
absolutely.
not now. They no, like I was watching this one movie and you don't want to drive a race car. You're a little girl. That kind of thing.
But people come up to me still at shows and they'll say, you play like a guy. And then I say, thank you, because it's a compliment.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a compliment, but it's a compliment. So it's still in the back of people's minds someplace.
Yeah,
it just did.
It's kind of funny because Mindy Aber, we had interviewed her, and so I was asking her about that record label, pretty good for a girl or something. She said, well, that's what a guy, after one of the shows, he came up and said, you play pretty good for a girl. And I was
yeah, right.
So
and
how
you say,
some people,
thank you.
Yeah, I know, but you know how they say, we don't want to take those diversity classes. Well, sometimes people don't realize what they say. No,
I mean, they're actually trying to say something nice.
Nice. Oh, okay. Yeah.
They are.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's not coming out that way, really, but that's what they're saying.
But actually, if I was saying, I wouldn't put it. I kind of wouldn't put the other part on it. Say, you play great. That's all I can say. Yeah, but
like it's almost like they're expecting less from a woman.
Yeah.
That would be a big mistake.
Yeah. But that's, if you listen to my shows, and even with my playlist one before I had my shows, I always, showcase Godina and man, you need to listen, because when I was looking on Amazon and someone was saying that it's basically jazz, kind of like it's male sax kind of image or genre, but now there's bass players, there's drummers, there's flute players. I mean, man, that lead, and so that kind of, the sax, that's a lot of people's favorite, but there's other instruments and other great musicians from other countries. I was just looking up, it's Asian and Pacifica month or something they celebrate. So I did a playlist last night. Oh man, I must have had 30 something songs, and that's what I was looking for, And when I looked it up on the internet about I was looking to see what other Asian jazz artists there are, and it said, yeah, we do play jazz. And so some people, when I say, yeah, there was this Japanese, well, he's from Japan, and they play jazz. And I said, you'd be surprised at how many people listen to music from this area.
Oh,
even though they're from other countries.
United States, I have the biggest group of listeners in Japan.
Yeah, especially a lot of people go for their shows in Japan, where you might have a large crowd, but man, you got a big crowd over in Japan, because
Japan, Europe.
Europe.
If you're an American jazz musician and you go to Europe, you're royalty. They treat you like you're royalty. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Probably hard to get tickets if you don't hurry up and go get them. I had to catch you next time if you don't hurry up and go be one of the first ones in line out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's I got to play in Madrid in 2019 before COVID, and they took us out to lunch and dinner every day. Just the way that it was just so wonderful, the way they treated us. The people were so warm and welcoming. We had such a great time.
That's good. Oh, and so back to I was talking about your new CD.
Yeah.
I see you mentioned Madrid. Well, you do have a selection on that CD with a kind of a Latin flavor. And
yeah,
the name of that
inspired.
is
One Night in Madrid.
In Madrid, yes. And also, now, I grew up, I graduated from high school in 72. So a lot of that R&B music, like Patrice Rushen. Oh man, we knew Patrice Rushen because man, she played the keyboards, you know, and sang. And so I see you in one of my favorite. You did the cover for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've always loved the song and thought about doing
Mhm.
it, and I don't do a lot of covers.
Mm-hmm.
I have maybe one on each album. I'm not even sure if each album has one, but if I do it, I try to make my own take on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
that's
don't
Forget Me
play the
Nots.
song.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
and actually, I don't know what one of those movies I think it was with Will Smith or something, Men in Black or something. They did that, you know. So a lot of
right.
some of this 70s, 80s music that you still hear, you know, you still
Yeah,
get to hear it. They remember it
absolutely.
and stuff. Now on this new CD, man, you had some stellar, great jazz musicians on here also that were featured on this CD.
Yes. Um, well, the title cut, "Can You Feel It?"
Mm-hmm.
My first #1 on Billboard, yay,
Mm-hmm.
was produced by Greg Manning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also the second single, "Just Can't Stop," was produced by Greg Manning. I had 6 different producers on the recording. I should grab it so I can talk about it.
Yeah. That was one of the Ripppingtons.
Oh yeah, Bill
man.
Heller, the keyboard player from the Ripppingtons, produced "One Night in Madrid."
Yeah, man. Now see, when I first started, we used to have a jazz station here, and that's when I first learned about the Ripppingtons.
Oh yeah,
man, they had a lot of different musicians that do their own music now. When Eric Marienthal, I think was it Eric Marienthal?
Jeff Kashawa.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. And Brandon Fields is playing with them now.
Okay.
He's great too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember the Ripppingtons. So I remember, and that's when Walmart used to have the jazz CDs. And man, this must have been around 2002 or 2003 or something like that. And so the radio station, it changed formats, so I had to go buy my own CDs to listen. And so I remember some of those names that were they were spinning. And so I was like, oh man, I remember the Ripppingtons. Oh, I got to get this one. You know, I didn't have to listen to it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the Ripppingtons. So you also got Cindy Bradley.
Yep.
Trumpet player. It was kind of funny. The first time Cindy came here in Kansas City, she came with Alex Bouillon. And so people were coming into my, who's Cindy Bradley? Who's Cindy Bradley? I said, you know who's? I said, well, you'll find out when you hear. Man, after she started blowing that trumpet, they were like, whoa, you know, because they wasn't expecting. And this was around, I'm thinking that was probably one of the first, they start having some of the contemporary smooth jazz artists come in down at our gym theater. They remodeled and everything down on 18th and Vine. So, oh man, this was somewhere around that 2008, somewhere 2009, somewhere like that.
Yeah.
But when she first, because I think that was her second CD, I think, when she came to Kansas City. And so, man, when they heard it, they were like, whoa, my goodness. We wouldn't expect that. So I told you. Yeah.
I should tell you that we have a group together called the Fabulous Blondes.
Oh, that's right. I'm glad I didn't see that on your website. I know I saw. I don't know if you sent me some info on that. So how's that going? Yeah. So so the pandemic kind of slowed you guys down, huh?
Yeah, we had a really nice show booked at the Norfolk Waterfront Jazz Festival in August. We were opening for Dave Sanborn, and it got canceled.
Yeah.
But we're still playing the Gulf Coast Jazz Festival in Pensacola, September 4th.
Okay. Now some artists are doing the virtual, you know, concerts and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I've done something like that.
Oh, okay. So what are some of the other selections on your CD? Now I know on one CD you had some vocals on, because when I was looking for vocal songs, I remember you reminded me, and I said, oh yeah, I was looking for some vocals, nice vocals, and I picked a couple of selections from there. So you have any vocals on this one, or is it?
Yeah, well, Forget Me Nots,
Okay.
of course. Calling You,
Mm-hmm.
which is a song that I wrote about being on the road.
Mm-hmm.
That may be, oh, Don't Let Me Wait. So those are the vocals on here. I do more instrumentals because they play more instrumentals on the radio, you know. But some tunes like Calling You, which is on this release, you know, if there's a story that I'm trying to tell, sometimes I just need to have lyrics to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's also easier to name the song if
Oh,
it has lyrics. Naming instrumentals is always like, what am I going to call this, you know? Unless it was inspired by something like One Night in Madrid, that was easy, you know. I knew where that was coming from, but just naming an instrumental sometimes is a difficult thing to do.
Yeah. Now, you know, for my playlist, I don't shy away from vocals.
Well, it sounds like, you know, you have a 360-degree, you know, spectrum of music, types of music that you play, and you support artists, female artists and artists from all over the world. So that's the only way people are going to know about them, to be able to hear them. So thank you for that.
Yeah. But, you know, in order, if I'm going to be on the radio, I need to know. So I like to explore, you know, I just don't like to stay in the same place. You know, like some people, well, I've never heard of them before, so I don't know if I want to buy that, but I want to see what they sound, you know, see what they sound.
Of
So
course.
you know, I'm one of the inquiring people, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to keep listening to the same thing over and over again. Who wants to do that? Yeah. Like eating the same thing every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh yeah, yeah. You want to try something
after a
different.
while.
Yeah.
Even if you liked it to begin with, you don't like it anymore.
Yeah, just like some of the kids the other day, they had this. They had tried a new snack for them, and so I tasted, and they said, "Well, Mr. Coaster, you like that?" And I said, "Well, I was going to try it anyway." I said, "Now, if after trying it, I don't know if I'll go somewhere and I actually order it, but you know, yeah, I ate all of it." I said, "Yeah, you tried something new on their sandwich." I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna try it, you know, just to see
Writing is
how
a
do I
spice
know?
of
How do
life.
I know I don't like it?" But it
You
wasn't
gotta try
bad.
new-
Yeah,
It may not be your favorite, but at least you had something different, right?
yeah, yes. So here's something I didn't know. Now, so who do you have on your CD that's playing the guitar?
My producer Lou Gimenez is on a bunch of tracks. Funkulator. My friend Schuyler Deale, who's a bassist and guitarist and producer, he actually wrote that song, and he ran it by me, and I really liked it, you know. So Cindy played trombone and trumpet on that, and I'm playing alto, and Schuyler produced it, played bass, guitar. Dave DeLome played keyboards on it. He was on The Tonight Show with Ricky Minor and American Idol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really great musician.
Now, how do you pronounce that? I was looking at the guitarist because I had heard him, but I didn't know who exactly, the relationship and everything. So,
My good friend, Schuyler.
Gimenez. How do you pronounce it? Gimenez?
Oh, Lou Gimenez. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I didn't. When I looked at it, I was like, "Oh, so that's who this is." Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's produced most of my music.
Oh, okay. Now, now, is there anything else you would like to tell our audience? What's coming up, or any new news or anything? And then after that, we'd like you to leave your web page, you know, info where you can be reached if someone was interested in seeing who. So you always grew up in New York?
Yeah.
You were born in New York? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. Okay.
I've wanted to live in places with better weather.
Oh yeah.
But
I don't know nowadays, boy, the way the weather is now. I don't care where you.
We're safe.
Yeah, because I think it's supposed to get to 40 here. It's supposed to get 40
any place with a palm tree, you have to put up with hurricanes or tornadoes.
Oh yeah, I know.
Something.
Yeah,
It's always something. But I have a show coming up pretty soon in Oklahoma, in Tulsa. Yeah. The TEG International Jazz Festival is June 4th in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at Guthrie Green. It's outdoors, and it's sponsored by Spirit Bank, and it's actually free to the public. Me and Willie Bradley are playing that day.
Oh, Willie, yeah, we got to interview Willie too. Now, so when is this again?
June 4th.
Man, we canceled our reunion in Oklahoma. We have it every 4 years. We go back to Oklahoma, Stevenson reunion, And I was saying, oh man, that's when you said Tulsa. I was like, oh man, when is it June? That's usually what the reunion was canceled this year. Well, usually we have it around June, July, or something like that,
Wow.
So that's our stomping grounds. I know I drove through Tulsa many times.
How
we
far
got
is
relatives there. Yeah,
How far is it?
Tulsa from where I'm at?
Yeah.
It usually takes us about 5 hours to drive to Oklahoma. So I'm thinking Tulsa might be 4. Because I know when we get to Tulsa, it doesn't take very long to see. We go we go kind of southways. If we go 49, then that's how we drive through Tulsa. But if you go 35, you won't drive through Tulsa. But we usually like to go to what we call 49. It takes you into
well, if you're
you go
free,
through Joplin, and then you go to Tulsa. Yeah,
come on down. We're gonna have a really good
thinking
time
about it, because since we don't have a reunion. So yeah, and so anything else, and then give your info where you can be reached.
Yeah, I just want to give you a couple more dates that I'm thinking of in my head. So in July, I'm actually opening for Keiko Matsui at the McLowan Theater in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then the next day on the 24th, I'm playing Shay's Lounge in Columbia, South Carolina, where I usually play every year. So lovely, lovely place. That's July. August, unfortunately, our Waterfront Jazz Festival in Norfolk got canceled. But so September 4th, Pensacola Jazz Festival. October 9th, I'm playing the Fresh Coast Jazz Festival in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Greg Manning and I are doing a show together. And then on October 29th, the 29th to the 31st, I'm at Roland Duarte's Smooth Jazz Getaway in Florida, Melbourne, Florida. And I'm on that. Greg's on that. Greg Manning and Jeff Ryan is on that. That's October. November is the Jazz Legacy Jazz Festival in Hampton, Virginia. That's all I can think of right now. And as far as my website and contact info, my website's paulaatherton.com. On Twitter, I'm Patherton1. Instagram, Paula Atherton Music. I have a couple of Facebook pages, and I'm on LinkedIn. That's about it, I think.
Okay. Well, thank you again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to let Professor Smooth Jazz interview you at KUAW. And so you know what? I've never been to any of your shows. Maybe I'm gonna try to get down to Tulsa.
Oh yeah. Come on down.
Any of your shows. So, and you have a nice day. We want to thank Mr. Lewis Walker, KUAW, for taking the time out to help us out so I could do this interview with such a great contemporary, smooth jazz, traditional jazz, sax and flute player, songwriter, and vocalist, Paula.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. And you have
it was really a fun interview.
Yep. Thank you. I enjoyed it. Honored. Okay. You have a nice day. And prayers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for supporting my music and everybody in this genre. And thanks to all the fans for supporting us. We love you and hope to see everybody really soon. Stay safe. Stay well.
All right. Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.